There are legends, and then there are men who redefined what it means to be legendary. The greatest bull rider of all time wasn't just someone who won titles. He wasn't just dominant in the arena. He changed the sport forever. And depending on who you ask, he may not even have been human, because what this man did on the back of a 2,000-pound tornado disguised as a bull, well, it's something no one's ever seen before. This is the story of the man who changed everything, Lane Frost. When we talk about greatness in bull riding, a few names will always come up. J.B. Monty, Tough Hedeman, Ty Murray. They've all carved their names into the dirt. But there's one name that stands apart, not just because of what he accomplished, but because of how he lived and how he died. But before we get into the moment that froze time for the rodeo world, we need to go back to the beginning, to where this legend was born. Lane Clyde Frost, born October 12, 1963, in La Junta, Colorado. But it wasn't long before his family moved to Oklahoma, God's country. He rode his first calf at the age of 5 years old. Most kids were just learning how to ride a bike. Lane, he was learning how to hang on for dear life. And the thing is, he didn't just hang on, he dominated. By the time he was a teenager, he was already turning heads in the junior circuits. But it wasn't just because he could ride bulls, it was the way he rode them. He had a style that was smooth, fluid, and somehow poetic, even when the bull was trying to throw him into orbit. At 15, he was already competing against grown men. At 19, he turned pro. And by 1987, at just 24 years old, he was the PRCA World Champion Bull Rider. That should have been the start of a decade-long reign, but instead, it became something much bigger. Because Lane didn't just inspire fans, he inspired an entire generation of riders. The way Senna inspired Hamilton, that was Lane for every cowboy who ever dared step into the chute. If you've ever watched The Bull Rider and thought, that's nuts, I could never do that, then you're exactly the kind of person who should subscribe. Stick around because this story gets wild. Let's get back to the man himself. The thing about Lane Frost is he wasn't just technically gifted. He had charisma, swagger, a megawatt smile, and the kind of personality that made you want to root for him, even when you knew the odds were 2,000 pounds against one. He was also fiercely competitive. He wanted to be the best, but he didn't want to do it alone. His friendship with fellow bull riding legend Tough Hedeman wasn't just real, it was legendary. They pushed each other, competed side by side, and stayed loyal in ways that felt like a Western movie. And when Lane rode, man, it was like watching a ballet mixed with a car crash. He didn't just survive the ride, he made it beautiful. He made it art. But there's one moment, one ride, that changed everything. Cheyenne Frontier Days, July 30th, 1989. It's one of the most iconic rodeos in the world, the kind of place where reputations are made and destroyed in 8 seconds or less. Lane drew a bull named Taking Care of Business. Mean, violent, explosive. The gate opened. Lane stayed on. Classic form, legs forward, chest up, hand locked. He beat the clock. He won the ride. But as he dismounted, the bull turned. In an instant, it gored him in the side with its horn. He stood up, took a step, then collapsed. He was rushed to the hospital, but the horn had punctured his heart and lungs. There was nothing they could do. Lane Frost, world champion, beloved icon, and maybe the most gifted bull rider to ever live, was gone. He was 25 years old. The world stopped. The sport stopped. For a moment, nothing else mattered. And from that tragedy came transformation. His death wasn't just the loss of a champion. It was a wake-up call. Up until that point, bull riding was all grit and toughness. If you got hurt, you walked it off. But Lane's death sparked a movement. The protective vest that nearly every rider wears today, that didn't exist before Lane. After he died, his parents partnered with designers and the rodeo community to develop the first vests to protect vital organs. It took time, but within a few years, they were mandatory in the PBR. So when you see a rider walk away from a wreck that would have been fatal 30 years ago, you're seeing Lane's legacy in real time. And it didn't end there. His story became a movie, 8 seconds, starring Luke Perry. It brought bull riding to a mainstream audience. Suddenly, it wasn't just cowboys watching the PRCA. The whole world started paying attention. And more importantly, young kids across America started dreaming of becoming bull riders. Not because they wanted fame, not because of money, but because they wanted to be like Lane. The man who smiled in the chute, the man who lit up every arena, the man who gave everything, literally everything, to the sport he loved. Even the riders who came long after him still talk about him like he's walking beside them. Tough Hedeman once said, Lane never met a stranger. If you met him once, you felt like you knew him for life. J.B. Monty called him the blueprint. And Ty Murray? He said Lane made bull riding cool. That's the thing about Lane Frost. His legacy isn't just about what he did in the arena. It's about how he made people feel, how he carried himself, and how he elevated everyone around him. You can look at the stats. World champion in 1987. National high school champion before that. Inducted into every Hall of Fame that matters. But the numbers don't tell the full story. The full story is this. Lane Frost made bull riding human. He gave it a face, a soul, a heart. And he showed us all what it means to chase greatness and pay the ultimate price. So was Lane Frost the best to ever do it? You tell me. One man changed the sport. One man sparked a safety revolution. One man inspired a movie, a movement, and a million future riders. It wasn't just the bulls that had to take care of business. It was Lane. If you think Lane Frost is the greatest of all time, hit like. If you've got another name in mind, drop it in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe for more wild stories from the most dangerous sport on dirt. This is just the beginning.